By the end of this video, you'll know how to set up a contact mesh for an avatar that doesn't have a separate eye material, like this amp wave. This won't work well with eye tracking or non-spherical concave eyes. So if that's a concern, consult the tutorial on making a custom contact mesh instead. It's linked in the description. So first off, we need to find the contact mesh. It's located in Value Factory, Hypno eyes 3 contact meshes. And as you can see, we have 2 of them even. The only difference between them is essentially how many triangles and their shape. So really, if you can, use less triangles, use this shape. But if you need that extra coverage, then use this almost full sphere. And for this amp wave, we're going to be using the almost full sphere because we need the extra coverage. So now we need to find an eye bone to put this on. That's very easy to do. We can just click on our avatar object, scroll down up until we see the eye transforms here, and just click on one of them. I'm going to be setting up the contact on the left eye first, and then mirroring it over into the right eye. So now let's take our contact and drag it into the eye that we're going to start with. As you can see, it's very big right now, and what we need to do is we need to scale it down. So I'm going to press R on the keyboard to go into scale mode, and just start scaling this down until it's about the size of the eye. And we need to scale it in such a way that we don't have clipping like this, and we also don't clip into the eye as well. So it's like kind of like just a little bit over the eye like that. That should be fine. Now we need to assign the calibration material to this. You can find the calibration material in Hypno eyes 3, materials, examples, calibration. Let's drag that onto the eye. And now we need to set the calibration to be using the centered preset. So in the calibration material, let's go into quick setup, avatar presets, and find centered. Let's click on that. And there we go. Now we're ready to start positioning this. So I'm going to go into orthographic mode and look directly head on to the avatar. To do that, I'm going to click on this little cube and then press on the axis that corresponds to us looking directly at the avatar. So for me, it's going to be Z. Now we're going to be looking directly at the avatar. To make all this positioning easier, I'm also going to set this little drop down to pivot. We're about to get started with positioning. Now, positioning the preset is a little bit tricky. We're only going to be using scale and rotation. I don't recommend moving the preset or the contact around that much. That might cause issues with eye look with the bone. But if you have to, go ahead and do that. But mostly for this, I'm just going to be using rotation. But the thing is, I'm going to be rotating it in a very simple way so that we can mirror it to the other side later on. And by that, I mean, I'm going to be moving it on just only 2 axes. So on the green axis and then on the red axis. This is going to keep these rotation values right here simple. Because if we go ahead and try to move it like this and move it in crazy ways, these values are going to kind of get a little bit weird, and it's not going to be easy for us to mirror this over onto the other side. If you do need to do this, if you do need to do custom or like these complex rotations, you're going to essentially be doing the same thing on this other side and kind of eyeballing it. And it's not going to be a perfect mirror, but you're going to need to kind of like just eyeball it into a perfect mirror. But for this, we're not going to be doing that. We're going to be keeping the rotation simple. So let's undo and start positioning. So I'm going to be trying to line up this little black dot with where the pupil of the eye is going to be. So for us, it's going to be around somewhere here. So let's go ahead and rotate. I am pressing E to be in rotate mode, by the way. Disable that and adjust. So looks about right. We can go down now. Yeah, it looks about right. That's good. Now we're going to adjust the scale of this preset. So right now, the green area here is a little bit too big. It kind of, the green area should approximately cover up the main like part of the eye, and this is covering a little bit too much of it. Like it should cover up kind of like this area, but it's covering this whole area. Like we need to kind of like make it small right now. So we can go ahead into our quick setup right here, into our manual positioning, and adjust the scale of this until it's about right. So I think I'm going to set this to 2 and 2. Actually, let's set this to 1.5, 1.5. Yeah, there we go. This is way better. This is kind of what we want. We have a bunch of this like peripheral like little area here that's not going to be the main focus, but then this green area here kind of corresponds to the main eye part where the main focus of the effect is going to be. So this is going to be about right. We can go ahead and save this as a preset. Amp wave contact. Now this is showing up here on our custom presets, and we can use this now for when we want to put a Hypno material on there. So let's go back into orthographic mode like this, and now let's go ahead and set up. Sorry, we're not going to set up the other eye yet. We're going to actually test how well we position this. So we're going to first of all select our bone here, kind of move it around a little bit. I'm selecting the eye bone itself and moving the eye around. And I'm looking for any clipping here to see if the contact is like clipping through into the mesh itself. And if it is, we're going to need to scale it down. But in our situation, it's not. So yeah, but if it is for you, if it is clipping for you, you're going to want to select the contact. Make sure to undo any of the left eye rotation that you've done. Select the contact and then just scale it down up until it doesn't clip with the eye anymore. Or adjust the rotation or position, whatever you need to do, essentially. But for me, this seems to be perfectly fine. So we can go ahead and continue into testing some blend shapes. So simple one to do is testing the blink. And again, I'm looking to see if the contact clips with anything. In my situation, again, it doesn't. So we're all good. And if it does for you, again, adjust the scale or rotation just to make sure that it doesn't clip for you. For me, it's all good though. So we're going to continue now into mirroring this preset. So I'm going to select the contact, Control C, Control V, and drag it into the right eye. Now select the contact again, right click on the transform, copy component, right eye, right click, paste component values. This, of course, I'm doing this because I've set this up to be mirrorable easily. If you did like screw up your rotation values and they're all kind of like wonky and weird, you're gonna need to pretty much redo the same contact setup as we did from the start for the left eye. So dragging in the contact, scaling it down. You can actually copy the scale values perfectly fine, but you're gonna still need to, you know, rotate it and position it in pretty much the same way you did for the left eye. But because I set this up to be mirrorable, I'm not gonna do that. And so all I need to do now that we've kind of like have the same scale and this kind of like similar rotation, all I need to do is actually just like take this Y and remove the minus sign from it. And that's about it. It might not be the Y for you, it might be the Z, it might be one of these other values, but it usually is the value you need to invert is usually the one that's not close to minus 90 or 90, right? So for me, it's going to be the Y here. And yeah, and now as you can see, this is perfectly mirrored. And it's already calibrated perfectly fine. So yeah, that's about it for that. And I'm not going to test the blend shapes or eye bone positioning for this because I think it's going to be fine. And yeah, now we can go ahead and just assign one of the Hypno materials to this. So we can go ahead and grab any one of these, drag it onto the eyes, decision paralysis. There we go. And this one's already set up with the centered preset, but we want to actually be using the amp wave contact one because we've adjusted the scale just to make sure that the scale of it is actually proper. As you can see, it works fine. And the fun part about contact is that we can have asymmetric effects such as this, right? You can have one effect in one eye and another effect in another eye. But yeah, that's great. And now you can go ahead and create an animation clip or a toggle or something to, you know, turn these on and off, because right now they're going to be always on your avatar. So that you can go ahead and make a VRC Fury toggle here to, you know, turn this on and off, essentially. Yeah, I'm not going to do that here. And that's about it. Have fun.